Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here another 10 pens currently inked for this week. I think let's go through these briefly one by one. We'll go through them in a little bit more detail and then we'll do a writing sample. So from left to right, this is a new pen that has been added to my collection recently. And this is the Danitrio Takumi Moonlit Grass. We have a Classic Pens LB5 in the Kaen, which was also added recently. We have a Sailor King of Pen Sakura Nagare. We have a Taccia Miyabi Winter's Breath. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. We have another Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Lapis Lazuli. And then we have another Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, and this is in the black marble, which was added recently as well. We have a Visconti Watermark, and we have a Visconti Blue Ripple. So I think let's take a look at these pens in a little bit more detail. So this is a beautiful, beautiful Urushi Maki-e pen. So this is a Danitrio, and you can see here the lovely Japanese inscription here, and you can also see the moon there. And this is a moonlit grass, so you've got the grass here with the moon above. This is in an Akatamanuri-like finish. I do like Akatamanuri. I am more partial to Akatamanuri, which is this darker, well, sometimes deeper red that you get on some of the Urushi pens. You'll also notice here that that clip is also lacquered in Urushi as well. But you'll see here that this is really quite spectacular. So I was able to pick this up from a friend who was letting this go from his collection. And I just decided that I like Danitrios. This has not a larger number 8 size nib, it has a number 6 size nib, but I decided that I still had to get this because I like Danitrios and I do like Akatamanuri. So if I unscrew this, it's a cartridge converter, but you'll see here it has a number 6 size Danitrio fireball nib. This is a fine nib. And I don't typically go for fine nibs, but I decided I would have to in this case. But this fine actually writes more like a medium to me. This is a cartridge converter pen. You could post the cap. I'm only going to do it lightly here because I'm not a cap poster and I don't want to mar this finish. In a lot of Urushi, you will not feel any of these patterns. But these are more, they are engraved into the body, but they're also more pronounced. So although you've got lacquer over the top, you can feel these. So it is something that I'm a little bit more careful of. So I don't typically post caps. But for me, this is a beautiful in the size of my hand. It's Urushi over ebonite. So it's already going to be a lightweight pen. You'll see here as well it has some like little sort of gold stars or dust there on the section as well, and you also have the artist signature there. But this is a beautiful pen, so I have this one inked up with me this week, and I am in awe of this pen because it really is a beautiful pen. So I'm glad I was able to add that one to my collection recently. And actually at the same time, from the same person, strangely enough, I was able to pick up this Classic Pens LB5 in the Kaen. And this is inked up again this week. I had this on last week, inked up. I find that this was one of my Grail pens. I have a Classic Pens LM1 in the flame red, which is effectively the Kaen. It's this red diffusion bonded acrylic that you have there. And it's a beautiful, beautiful acrylic. These pens are expensive, and I originally picked up the LM1 in Flame Red. I picked up a LB5 in a Kalseki Brown metal ore, but the red one escaped me, and I had an opportunity, a second opportunity of getting a red one, and that was in Texas, and I decided against it. This was, I think, 2 years ago because the price was very high. And then a friend had this and he was selling it and he offered it to me first. So I decided, you know what, this is third time lucky, I've got to get this. And so this is a beautiful LB5. It's made by Sailor. It's got a Sailor King of Pen nib there, 21 karat gold nib. This is a medium nib, but they write more like a Western Fine because it's a Sailor Asian nib. But this, for me, is actually quite nice. It writes well. It's a cartridge converter pen. You can post the caps on these. They post very deeply and securely. But again, I don't post my caps that often. So I only do it if the pen is really short. Otherwise, I typically don't feel the need to post my caps. Now, the next pen here is a Sailor King of Pen. So you can see here already that the LB5 is about 0.5 centimeter longer than the King of Pen from Sailor. You'll also notice probably that the girthiness of both the body and the cap is wider as well. But typically I do like the Sailor King of Pens, and this was a Sailor King of Pen that I picked up because for several years, more than several years, I couldn't get the LB5. So I decided I would start picking up some other LB5s, some other King of Pens. And I spotted this one and I bought this one. And so this is actually 2 years old now. And I'm so glad that I added that to my collection. It's the Sailor King of Pen. It's the Sakura Nagare. It's a beautiful Maki-e pen with gold dust, with Sakura petals that are flowing down the river, and it really is quite nice. Now you might say, well, that pattern isn't lining up there. Well, actually it is. It's just that it has multiple threads, so you can line that pattern up if you want. It does have a Sailor King of Pen nib again. This is a broad nib, so writes a little bit more like a Western medium. Again, in the size of my hand, it's really good. It's a good weight. You can post the cap, but again, it's Maki-e. You've got Raden here. You can feel the pronounced Raden petals here. So it's not something I would normally do with a pen. And if I get the threads right, I'll get that pattern to line up there. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. Another pen that I had inked up last week, which I'm just trying to run down at the moment. I didn't write a lot with it, but I'm gradually getting rid of the ink out of it, and I'm thinking of changing the ink. So this is the Taccia Miyabi's Winter's Breath. And again, another stunning Maki-e. You have Raden strips here. You have crushed quail's eggs. It's a beautiful, stunning pen. It's a work of art. And when you get to the prices on some of these pens, it is a work of art, honestly. They are functional, they do write, and they do write well as well. So these are really, really good pens, but they are not cheap. So I have this one inked up. This has a regular Sailor number 6 size nib. It's actually branded Taccia, but Taccia, Sailor make the nibs for Taccia. So I have that one here. Again, it's a cartridge converter, and I like it. It has one thread, so that pattern always lines up first time. But that, again, is a beautiful pen, and I love writing with it. Another pen that I had inked up last week was the Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. And if you want to see how good this pattern on the body looks without any ink in there, then go check out that video from last week, because I did have it uninked and then I inked it up, and and I'm writing with it again this week. I like this pen a lot. So this was the first Visconti that threw me onto the Visconti bandwagon. It comes with a 23 cat palladium fine nib there. It's a beautiful pen, lovely. I find these concave sections really comfortable. It's got a hook safe lock. It's got a power vac. It's a double reservoir. It holds 2.5 milliliters of ink. What more can I ask for in a pen? Honestly, it really is good. So I do like a lot of the Visconti Homo sapien models, more so the double vac fillers, the double reservoir, because they do hold more ink. So you can like not fill them up that often, which is good. But then if you want to change ink, then maybe that wouldn't be for you. Now, this pen is a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. I did have this inked up last week. I've got it inked up again this week. I love the weight of this pen. It's a really, really nice pen. It's made of solid silver, which it has an aged silver look. It's made of solid marble. It has a 23 cat palladium nib. This is a medium nib, but it's a beautiful pen. It's got a hook safe lock. It's a single reservoir because there's no ink window. It's a power vac filler, but this is a really nice weight in my hand. I can post the cap if I want to, but it makes it very back weighted, so I typically do not. But I love how this writes. It's a beautiful pen, and I'm just finishing up the ink in there this week. Another pen as well is this one, which is a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, but this is in the Lapis Lazuli. So again, it's a solid silver with a gold vermeil, gold plating on here. And it also has the Lapis Lazuli stone or marble. This has the newer 18 karat gold nib. It's a medium nib. I typically find this one writes a little bit more on the broader side, which is fine. I don't mind that, honestly. It has a lovely concave section. It has a hook safe lock mechanism. It's a single reservoir because there's no ink window. It's a power vac filler. And again, if I wanted to, I can post that cap. But again, my hand really wants to go back to here. It is back weighted because this is solid silver, this cap. So you really, really are going to find that quite weighty. Now, a new addition to my collection is this one. And again, it's another Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. But this is in the black marble. And this really is a stunning, stunning pen. So I'm really glad that I got this one. It's got, again, solid silver, but it's got this sort of bronze effect plating there, or vermeil. It's also made of marble as well. It's faceted like the others too. It has an 18 karat gold medium nib there. It's the newer 18 karat gold nibs from Visconti. Again, concave section, hook safe lock, single reservoir because there's no ink window, power vac filler. It is a lovely writer, and I can post the cap, although it will post. This one posts a little bit more deeply, but I still find it's too back weighted, so it's not something I would want to do, honestly, but I know some of you do. So I know that some of you do want to see whether or not these pens, the caps can be posted or not. Now, the next pen I haven't written with for quite some time. It's an older Visconti I have. This was one of my earlier Viscontis, and this is the Visconti Watermark. Now, this is the original Watermark, not the newer Watermark. It's made of solid silver with this overlay around a resin, or a sort of, I guess it is a resin, a plastic, acrylic pen body, I guess. But it's plated in palladium, and if I unscrew, you'll see here It's got a 23 cat palladium medium nib. Again, it's got this lovely concave section. The section is shiny, but because of the concaveness of the section, I think a lot of people don't talk about this. A lot of people immediately see a pen with a shiny metal section and go, "Ooh, my fingers are going to slip off of that." Well, yes, they could do, but when you have a concave section like this, your fingers will not slip because they will only slip to the center part. And if you actually put your finger to the center part here, then they are not going to slip anymore. This has a screw thread on. It is a double reservoir and it is a power vac filler as well. And I just love this pen. I typically have it inked up with an orange ink, and I have an orange ink in it. And you can see there that I have actually filled that pretty much up to the top today. So I am going to be writing with that probably for some time. And then the last pen here is the Visconti Blue Ripple. And I've been trying to rack my brains. I don't think I've actually had these two pens side by side before. I may have had in a currently inked, but you can see a slight difference here in the length of the cap here and the body. So this is the Visconti Blue Ripple, and this is a beautiful pen. I do like this a lot. It has this beautiful white sort of inlay with this metallic blue plated overlay. The metallic blue is actually on silver, so it's a silver overlay. But this is a beautiful pen, 875 of 999, and you'll actually see that it says Visconti and Ripple. So this is the blue Ripple. There's a black Ripple. I want to think there might be a red Ripple. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to have a look. But this comes with the older style 18 karat gold nib, and this is a medium nib. Again, although it's a metal section here, you've got this concave section. So this really makes it comfortable to write with, and it stops your finger and thumbs from slipping onto the nib. It's got some threads. It's got a double reservoir. It's a power vac filler. And if I really want to post the cap, I can. It doesn't post deeply, but it does post. But again, it's a massive long pen and a bit back weighted because this cap is not as heavy as the Il Magnificos, but it still is a silver overlay. So it is quite a weighty cap there. So I have that one inked up with me this week as well. So I think with that, let's go and do a writing sample. So the first pen is a Danitrio, and this is a Takumi Moonlit Grass. So let's do an ink swatch. Now, this, I did mention, is a fine nib, and although I do find that it can write a little bit more towards a medium, you can kind of see the fineness of this nib here. So I do find that it's got a bit of flex on it, so it flexes to a medium, but typically it's more a fine nib. So this is the Danitrio, Takumi, and it's the Moonlit Grass. And it is a fine, and it's a, I'm going to double check this, it's an 18 karat gold nib. Just wondering if it might have been a 14, but no, it's an 18. And the ink in here is Ackerman, and it's Dutch Masters, and it's Rembrandt's, and it's Carmozogen. And it's IJN. So it's IJN. The next pen is the classic pens LB5 in the Kaen. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see here that, again, it's more like a fine nib. It is a medium, but it's an Asian nib. So this is the classic pens LB5 in the Kaen, and it is a medium, and it's a 21 cat gold nib because it's a Sailor King of Pen nib. And then the ink in here is Mont Blanc, and it's corn, poppy, red. The next pen is the Sailor King of Pen Sakura Nagare. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see here it's a really beautiful colour ink. So this is the Sailor King of Pen Sakura Nagare, and it's a broad 21 cat gold nib because it's a Sailor King of Pen nib. And then the ink in here is KWZ Grapefruit, which is a beautiful orange colour ink. The next pen is the Taccha Miyabi's Winter's Breath. So we'll do an ink swatch. This is a little bit broader. I do find that both the ink on this is a dry ink, and also the nib writes a little bit more on the drier side as well. So this is a Taccha Miyabi, and it's Winter's Breath, and it is a broad, and it's an 18 cat gold nib. And then the ink in here is Pelican, Edelstein, and it is Topaz. And I will get to empty this pen one day. I honestly will, and I will not refill it. I will fill it with another ink. And I've got a few inks in mind for that pen. The next pen is a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog. So we'll do an ink swatch here. And you'll see that this is a super wet nib. For a fine nib, it is crazily wet. But this is how I love my nibs. So this is a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog, and it's a fine, and it's a 23 cat palladium nib. And then the ink in here is Pilot Iwashizuku Konpeki, which is one of the favourite cerulean blue inks that I like, along with Pelican, Edelstein, Topaz. The next pen is a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. So we'll do an ink swatch. And this is a medium nib. It's a 23 cat palladium nib. It's not as bouncy as the one in my London Fog. I think this is why a lot of people complained about the palladium nibs from Visconti, is that that there is a huge difference in terms of the stiffness and bounce on between nibs. So this is a Visconti, and it's the Medici Il Magnifico, and it's a medium 23 cat palladium nib, and then the ink in here is Pelican, Edelstein, Star Ruby, which is a great pink ink. The next pen is again another Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, but this is the Lapis Lazuli. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I think this is getting a little bit low on ink, so I'm going to probably have to re-ink this one. So this is a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, and again it's a medium nib, but this time it's a newer 18 cat gold nib from Visconti, and then the ink in here is Pilot, Oroshizuku, Ajise. And we have another Visconti Medici Il Magnifico. So we'll do an ink swatch. Now, this is a medium nib, but it writes more like a fine to me. So this is the Visconti Medici Il Magnifico, and that one was a Lapis Lazuli. I'm just going to leave this again as it is. So this is a medium 18 cat gold nib, and this is the black marble, and then the ink in here is a Diamine Earl Grey, which honestly looks more black in this coming out of this pen. The next pen is the Visconti Watermark. So we'll do an ink swatch. And I have to say I do like how this nib writes. It's the older style 23 cat palladium nibs. It's a medium nib, but it's got a little bit of bounce, but not massive amount of bounce. So this is the Visconti Watermark. And this is a medium. It's the older 23 cat palladium nib, as I mentioned. And then the ink in here is Sailor, Gentle, and it's Kin Makusai. Now, you can still get Kin Makusai, but now, because Sailor discontinued the Gentle line of inks, or Gentle range of inks, it's now in the Shikiori, I think it's pronounced. So you can get it in a smaller bottle. I think it's a 20 or 30 ml bottle. And then the last pen is the Visconti Blue Ripple that I have inked up. So we'll do an ink swatch. And you can see that this is, again, another super wet nib. This is a beautiful wet writing pen. So this is the Visconti Blue Ripple. And I bet this is going to feather, because sometimes it does feather. So this is a medium, and it's the older style 18 cat gold nibs. And then the ink in here is Diamine Imperial Blue, which is a blue that I'm really starting to like a lot. So I think let's take a look at these pens inked up one more time. So we have a Danitrio Takumi Moonlit Grass in a fine 18 karat gold nib, inked up with Akamon Dutch Masters Rembrandt's Comosigen. We have a Classic Pens LB5 in the Kaen in a medium 21 karat gold nib inked up with Mont Blanc Corn Poppy Red. We have a Sailor King of Pens Sakura Nagare in a broad 21 karat gold nib inked up with KWZ Grapefruit. We have a Taccia Miyabi Winter's Breath in a broad 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein Topaz. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens London Fog in a fine 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Pilot Orochizuku Konpeki. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Pelican Edelstein Star Ruby. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Lapis Lazuli in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Pilot Orochizuku Aji Sei. We have a Visconti Medici Il Magnifico in the Black Marble in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Earl Grey. We have a Visconti Watermark in a medium 23 karat palladium nib inked up with Sailor Gentle Kin Makusai. And we have a Visconti Blue Ripple in a medium 18 karat gold nib inked up with Diamine Imperial Blue. So there you have it, that's my currently inked pens for this week. Thanks for watching, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.